It all started on an ordinary Thursday morning. The sky was clear, the coffee was strong, and I was in a good mood heading to work. When I stepped outside, though, that mood vanished instantly. My parking space, the one clearly labeled, Resident 24, was empty. My red Honda Civic was gone. I froze, blinking, convinced I was losing my mind. Maybe I'd parked on the street. Maybe my roommate borrowed it. But after a frantic search, I realized the truth: my car had been towed. The first person I thought of was Karen, our self-proclaimed HOA enforcer. She wasn't even officially on the homeowners association board, but she acted like she ran the entire complex. Her favorite hobby was policing where everyone parked, when trash bins were taken out, and how long the sprinklers ran. She'd even fined one neighbor for having plants that clashed with community aesthetics. When I called the number on the unauthorized towing sign posted near the entrance, the operator confirmed my worst fear. My car had been towed that morning at 6:47 a.m. for parking in a restricted space. Restricted? It was my space. I paid extra each month for it. I immediately called the HOA office, but their line went straight to voicemail. Then I marched straight to Karen's unit, pounding on her door until she answered. She stood there, wearing her floral robe and holding a cup of tea, pretending to be surprised. "Oh, you must be mistaken," she said sweetly. "Your car was parked illegally." "I have photos." "Illegally? That's my assigned space." I snapped. Karen shrugged, feigning innocence. "According to the HOA records, that space belongs to Unit 32 now. Maybe you should keep your paperwork up to date." Something in her tone, smug, rehearsed, told me she knew exactly what she was doing. I went home fuming, tore through my lease agreement, and found the document stating my assigned spot. Resident 24, space hashtag A17. Still mine. No changes. When I called the towing company again to get my car released, the driver who answered sounded hesitant. "You're not the first one from that address," he said quietly. "That same lady's been calling in cars all month. But something about her doesn't check out." That comment lingered in my head as I arranged to pick up my car. I didn't know it yet, but Karen's little rule enforcement spree was about to unravel, and the tow truck driver himself would be the one to expose everything. When I arrived at the tow yard later that afternoon, the heat hit me like a wall. Rows of cars baked under the sun, each one a victim of some parking violation, or, in my case, a power-hungry neighbor. A man in a grease-stained uniform stepped out of the office. His name tag read Derek. "You're here for the red Civic?" he asked. "Yeah." "It was towed from Meadow Lane Apartments, space A17, I said. He gave a low whistle. "That place again?" As we walked toward the lot, Derek lowered his voice. "You're the fourth person from there this month. Always the same woman calling in complaints, blonde, short hair, loud voice. Says she's with the HOA. That's her." "Karen," I said bitterly. "She's not even on the board." Derek's brows knit together. "That's what's weird. She fills out the request forms like she's an official rep. Uses some HOA stamp and everything. But when we double-check the info, the phone number she lists doesn't belong to the HOA office. It's a burner." A chill ran through me. "You're saying she's pretending to be HOA staff?" He nodded. "Looks that way. My boss told me to keep quiet, but I hate scams like this. People pay hundreds to get their cars back. And she's probably getting kickbacks from the towing company she's contracting." I could barely speak as Derek handed me my release form. The tow fee was $350, money I didn't even have readily available. I paid with my debit card, but Derek slipped me a note with his number. "If you want to file a report, I'll back you up," he said. That night, I went through my emails and noticed something strange. The parking violation notice Karen had printed and taped to my door the week before had a fake HOA header. The font was wrong. And the contact info was missing the office extension. I realized this wasn't just Karen being overzealous. This was a coordinated scam. I emailed the real HOA, attached photos of her notice, and explained what had happened. Within an hour, I got a reply from the property manager. We have not issued any towing orders in the last 60 days. Whoever authorized your tow did so without HOA consent. Now I had proof, and a tow driver willing to testify. Karen wasn't just a nosy neighbor anymore. She was committing fraud. The next morning, Derek called me. "You free tonight?" he asked. "Because I think I can catch her in the act." He explained that Karen had submitted another towing request, this time for a black SUV belonging to a new tenant. Derek's boss had received it, recognized the same fake HOA signature, and flagged it. "We're going to pretend we accepted it," Derek said. "Meet me at the complex around 9. Bring your phone, we'll get it on video." That evening, I parked across the street and watched as Derek pulled up in his tow truck. Lights dimmed. A few minutes later, Karen appeared, clutching a clipboard, looking around nervously. She waved him over and pointed to the SUV. "This one's unauthorized," she said, her voice sharp and self-important. "Tow it. The owner's been warned twice." Derek stepped out, pretending to inspect the car. "Mind signing here?" he asked, handing her the fake form he'd printed. Karen quickly scribbled her name, Karen Bloomfield, HOA Compliance Officer. "Thanks," Derek said casually. "Just to confirm, this is on record with the HOA office, right?" "Of course," Karen said smugly. "They leave these matters to me. I'm their point of contact." That's when I stepped out from behind the bushes, phone recording. "Funny," I said loudly. "Because the actual HOA says they've never authorized you for anything." Karen's face drained of color. "You again? You have no right to film me," she hissed. Derek crossed his arms. "Actually, ma'am, I'm recording too. And that's forgery on a legal document." He pulled out his phone and showed her the real HOA contact email, which didn't match hers. Karen started stammering. "This is all a misunderstanding. I was just trying to keep the parking lot organized by towing residents' cars and collecting cash." I shot back. "You've been reported." Before she could respond, 2 HOA officials arrived. I'd tipped them off earlier with the plan. They walked up with stern faces, holding a folder of evidence I'd sent. "Ms. Bloomfield," one of them said coldly, "we need to talk." Karen looked trapped, her fake authority crumbling. She glanced at Derek, at me, at the officials, then tried to walk away. But Derek blocked her path. "Not so fast," he said. "We're calling the police." By the time the police arrived, Karen's facade had completely shattered. She stood trembling beside the tow truck, trying to explain that it was just a mistake. But the evidence spoke louder than her excuses. The forged HOA forms, the burner phone, the fake letterhead, it was all there. Derek handed the officers his logbook, showing the tow requests she'd filed over the past month. "Every one of these came from her fake contact info," he said. "She even pressured one of my co-workers to give her a referral fee for each job." The officers questioned her, and within minutes, they were placing her in handcuffs. I watched in stunned silence as she protested, "You can't arrest me. I am the HOA." But nobody listened. The neighbors had started gathering around, filming the entire scene. The real HOA representatives thanked Derek and me for our help. They promised to reimburse my towing fee and announced that Karen would be permanently banned from all HOA activities. A week later, a letter went out to every resident explaining what had happened, that Karen had been impersonating an HOA official and illegally authorizing tows for kickbacks. Derek and I kept in touch after that. He told me that thanks to our recordings, his company changed its towing policy, now requiring real HOA verification for every job. "You helped clean up a scam that's been hitting a lot of neighborhoods," he said. As for me, I finally parked my car again in space A17, legally. right where it belonged. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't afraid to leave it overnight. The complex was quieter, too. Without Karen snooping around, everyone seemed a little more relaxed. One evening, a neighbor approached me with a grin. "So, you're the one who took down the HOA, Karen?" I laughed. "Guess so. With a little help from a tow truck driver." Months later, I heard Karen had taken a plea deal for fraud and impersonation. Her scam had been more widespread than anyone thought: several complexes, dozens of cars, thousands in kickbacks. Justice, it turned out, came with the satisfying sound of her own words, "I am the HOA," echoing back at her from a police report. And as for me, I learned one simple truth: never underestimate a neighbor's greed, or the power of a good tow truck driver who knows the real story.